Whoa, tonight got really personal. Hey YouTube, welcome back to SIBZ, West Coast, East Coast siblings, where we cover your favorite movies and TV, and tonight we are covering The Bachelorette Season 17, Episode 3. In case you're new to the channel, like this video if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified of our coverage of all types of things here on SIBZ. Now let's get into this week's episode. This week's episode picks up exactly where we left off last week, with all of the guys pretty much pissed at Carl because he's a moron. Surprisingly enough, Mike P walks up to Katie during the rose ceremony after he's accepted the rose that she's given him and tells her, listen, all of us as guys in a house, we don't like Carl. We think you need to get rid of him. Katie, sort of distraught and taken aback, but long story short, after the guys sort of really put their foot down about Carl, Katie decides to let Carl go. And it's an awkward goodbye. No one says goodbye to Carl, including Katie. Carl just kind of wanders out. Good on you, Katie, for trusting the dudes in the house, because honestly, they would know better than you do. My question is, one, who was Carl talking about? Did he just pull all of that out of his behind? And then two, who was Katie gonna send home instead of Carl? The next thing that happens is Nick Vale shows up, who was our bachelor before I was watching the show. Anyway, he shows up and encourages the guys to open up about themselves. So highlights from the sharing circle are Hunter talks about his failed marriage and how he was so focused on work and everything, he and his wife drifted apart, and he is determined to not let that happen in his next relationship. Another big thing, and I thought this was so weird, once again, Connor B with his I don't know what the heck we're doing. Connor B shares a story about him drinking and the drinking leading to a really bad night, and then him feeling really bad about it and changing his life around. Now, I don't want to make light of substance abuse or anything like that, but honestly, the way that it was set up made you think that he was going to say something crazy, like he was in a hit and run, or, you know, something crazy. No, he just reached a point with his substance abuse and decided to turn around, which is great. You know, we commend you, but don't lead us on like that. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, another big thing that happened was Thomas. Now, you guys, Thomas is just strange. It's hard to get a read on him. He starts saying the craziest things. He's like, listen, I'm not gonna lie, like, I was here for followers, but then I met you and it's all great now. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. There's a bunch of red flags in my closet, but what does that even matter when the two of us are together, and how I feel about you and how I think you feel about me is so strong? It's like, what? What are you saying? Felt like he was dropping a bunch of major red flags and then kind of like covering them over, because that's not important, you know? All of the guys in the circle picked up on it and confront him. Now, another big thing that happens in this episode during this circle sharing is Katie talks about her experience with lack of consent, and I think that's very admirable. She says that she wasn't planning on doing it, and it was a very brave thing to do. You always got to commend women when they, you know, talk about things that are so personal. And I mean, the guys too, they were talking about personal stuff. She tells us this story. She kind of blames herself. Honestly, if kicking Carl out wasn't enough, all of the guys now are just in love with the girl. I mean, they're like, oh my gosh, she shared that? She didn't have to share that. She's just amazing. And she listened to us when we told her that we didn't like Carl? Oh my gosh, what a woman. Honestly, I understand. Katie seems mad chill. Still on the basic side, but a real person, and I can appreciate that. Good on you, Katie. So this episode was just a lot of emotional stories that came out of nowhere. We get Michael A's story. Now, Michael A confesses to Mike P. He lost his wife due to breast cancer. Anyway, so they go on their magical date, and they seem to have a lot of fun during the day. Nothing memorable about the date other than Katie flipping the buggy thing, which I looked away for like 2 seconds, and I look and she's like upside down in a car. Like, I miss all the good drama. Anyway, the two of them are bonding over just life, how he was a married man, and how he has a kid now, and Katie talks about how much she respects that and she appreciates his vulnerability and his honesty, and I'm like, yeah, it's so great. Then later on at nighttime during their date, Michael A tells her the whole story about his wife and about breast cancer and about how much that tore him up, about how he had found his forever person and lost her, which was very great. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I feel like this season is hyper emotional. She said she thinks she's falling in love with Michael. How could you not be riding an emotional high? They just shared like some really deep, intimate stuff about each other. I do think she thinks she's falling for him. Do I think he's the one? No, because I honestly don't think she can handle a kid. But that could just be me. What do I know? Getting to the shyster of the evening, Thomas. During the group date, after they all had their circle time, Thomas has some one-on-one time with Katie, and it goes really weird. She asks him about the red flags that he brought up earlier in the circle, and he kind of just dodges the question, and she calls him out on it, and he just kind of smiles and dodges the question again. So their date ends, and then Katie's talking with Aaron, and then Thomas comes back because he's like, I don't think I was clear enough on how I was feeling, and I just want to clear the air. Interrupts Aaron's time with Katie. Now, of course, Aaron is beyond pissed at this point and pretty much can't let it go for the whole rest of the episode. Thomas sits down with Katie again to tell her pretty much exactly what he said 15 minutes before. Aaron goes back, he's flipping out with the guys. He's like, yeah, Thomas interrupted my date. And then the rest of the guys are like, oh, that's not cool. And then they confront Thomas. Listen, you guys, I told her that I'm falling in love with her. What? But I will be honest, I think Thomas's feelings for Katie might be genuine only because he literally turns into an idiot when he's talking to her. Like, he's just cheesing and goofy and laughing. So like, maybe he does feel some type of way and he's just nervous and doesn't know how to express that. I'm willing to give him the benefit of a doubt, but at some point he's got to get himself together and like actually communicate and have a real conversation with her. The lying, the changing the words and whatnot. Aaron tells everybody. All of the guys once again have a house meeting. And Hunter, who just blows my mind at his relevance. Hunter seems like a nice guy. I just don't know why he's there. He's so weird to me. Hunter confronts Thomas, and Thomas admits, yes, originally he came on the show because he had intentions of becoming the next Bachelor. And then all the guys are just like, they're done. I think the guys are thinking that they can tell Katie not to trust someone, and as long as it's a unanimous thing that they tell her, she will do what they say. On some levels, I think there is some merit to Katie listening to the guys in the house, but at the same time, as Tayshia and Caitlin said, it is her decision on what she does. I think Katie needs to be doing that investigating, not the house as a whole. I think that's a little manipulative. We were all a little shocked, but like, once again, why do you think people go on this show? Getting a bunch of followers is not a bad second option if you're not going to find the love of your life, you know what I'm saying? I thought it was so interesting that Tayshia's like, someone from my past has reached out to me and is interested in you. I'm like, Tayshia, you talked to Blake for 5 minutes. But anyway, yeah, Blake's showing up. That's going to be interesting. I like Blake. He's like one of those jolly Canadians. He reminds me of the brawny guy. The paper towel dude. That is all I have for The Bachelorette this week. Let me know what you think in the comments below. As always, like this video if you like this video. Comment, subscribe, and click the bell so you can be notified of all things SIBZ. Yeah. That's all I got.